Ordinary interest. Ordinary interest occurs when we want to find the interest based on a 360-day calendar year. Ordinary interest is sometimes also referred to as banker's interest. Find the ordinary interest on a loan of $12,000 at 8% for 150 days. Round to the nearest cent. Here we'll use the formula I equals PRT. We're given P, which is 12,000, and we're also given R, the interest rate of 8%. T is 150 days, but remember we want to write T in terms of years, so we have to divide by the number of days in a year. Since we're using ordinary interest, we're going to divide by 360 because ordinary interest assumes that there are 360 days in a year. So that means that T equals 150 divided by 360. If we divide 150 by 360 to get a decimal value, we get 0.41666666 repeating. Now we'll just plug the values into the formula to solve. So I equals 12,000 times 0.08 times the decimal 0.41666 repeating. And that bar on top of the two sixes represents that it goes on forever. We'll multiply 12,000 by 0.08 to get us a value of 960. Next, we'll take that long decimal and multiply it by 960, and we want to keep this decimal as long as possible, or you can multiply it by this fraction, and we should get an exact answer of $400 even. So our answer is $400. A 75-day loan with a rate of 13% results in interest of $325. Use ordinary interest to find the principal. So we'll use the simple interest formula again, but this time we want to find the principal, not the interest. So usually we have the simple interest formula, which is I equals P times R times T, but we want to solve for the principal this time. So we can divide both sides by R times T, and that gives us a formula saying that the principal, P, equals I divided by R times T. So we'll use this formula to solve for the principal. Now the interest amount, I, is $325. The interest rate is 13%, which is 0.13 written as a decimal. And then the length of the loan is 75 days. Now remember, T should be written in terms of years, so we need to divide by the number of days in a year. And we're going to use ordinary interest, so that means that the number of days in a year is 360. T equals 75 over 360. And if we wanted to go ahead and write the decimal for that, we could just divide 75 by 360 and get 0.2083333 repeating. Our next step is to take the values we identified and plug them into the formula for principal, which is P equals I divided by R times T. That means that we'll have 325 divided by 0.13 times 0.208333 repeating. First, we want to multiply the values in the denominator position. And remember, we want to keep that decimal as long as possible. So 0.13 times 0.208333 repeating is 0.0270833 repeating. Lastly, we'll divide 325 by that decimal, and we should get a value of $12,000 even. So our final answer is $12,000. A loan of $18,000 made on January 28th results in interest of $545. If the loan is due on April 23rd, what is the rate? Use ordinary interest. Write the answer as a percent rounded to one decimal place. So we want to find the rate. We'll use simple interest again, which is I equals PRT, but this time we want to solve for R. So I'm going to divide by PT. So that tells me that R, or the interest rate, equals the interest amount divided by P times T. So we'll use this formula to find the interest rate. Now, I need to know the interest amount, the principal, and the time. The interest amount is $545, and then the principal is $8,000. Now I need to find the time, or the number of days between January 28th and April 23rd. First, we'll look at January. We have January 28th through January 31st, since there's 31 days in January. We don't count the 28th, so to find the number of days, we'll just subtract 31 from 28, and that gives us 3 days that will count. So we'll just go month by month. So now we have February, and we're going to assume that February has 28 days, unless we're told otherwise. So there are 28 days in February, there are 31 days in March, and then we have April 1st through the 23rd, since we're paying our loan on the 23rd. And we count the 23rd, so that means that there'll be 23 days. When we add 3 plus 28 plus 31 plus 23 together, we get 85 days. So that means that T is 85 over 360, because we're assuming that there are 360 days in a year since we're using ordinary interest. Next, we'll take the values for I, P, and T and plug them into the formula for R. Now, before we did that, I took 85 and divided by 360 to get a decimal of 0.2361111 repeating. Next, I plugged in the values into the formula, and I got 545 divided by 18,000 times 0.2361111 repeating. Next, we'll multiply the values in the denominator position. And when we do that, we should get a value of 4,250. And remember, we want to keep that decimal long, or use the fraction to multiply by 18,000 to make sure that we don't have rounding error. Next, we'll divide 545 by 4,250, and we get 0.1282352941. Interest rate is given as a percent, so we want to multiply this by 100 to convert to a percent. So we get 12.8235291. And the problem tells us to round to 1 decimal place. So I'm going to look at the 8, and the value next to the 8 is a 2. Since 2 is less than 5, I'll keep the 8 as is, and my final answer is 12.8%.